Chapter 1831. He placed a piece of information in the air and showed it to the two of them. I just retrieved the surveillance video in the city. There are records of the actions of various alien troops. When the Knights of the Circle came back, they didn't suffer any casualties in the battle, so they were actually well preserved. The reason why they refused to help was probably because the leader, King Arthur, had lost too much of his own abilities. It can indeed be seen from the image that King Arthur is not in a very good condition. As for Barrett, that's not to mention it. It really doesn't need to be mentioned because there was a huge team when we went out, but when we came back, there were only a few people left. Moreover, Emperor Shirtian was carried back to Samalan City by his subordinates in a very embarrassed state. But when the scene turned to Zhang Yi and his team, it was a completely different scene. Not only did only a few members of Fui Ying troop and Tianshan squad die in the entire team, but the leaders Zhang Yi, Deng Shintong, Liang Yu, and others were in very good condition. Especially Zhang Yi, his condition was so good that he didn't look like he had been through a life-and-death battle, but rather like he had gone out for an outing in his car. Because on his body, he didn't even see dust on his combat uniform, let alone any blood stains. He looks like he's in good shape. Aliyev said. There was a light of hope in their eyes. Even they all know that the three returning teams have all experienced a big battle and may not be able to help the gods. But as if they had grasped a life-saving straw, they desperately tried every means to save the situation. Pitaka. You are familiar with him. Go find him. Vladimir stared at Pitaka with burning eyes, and his eyes clearly contained a will that could not be refused. Pitaka gritted his teeth. There was nothing he could do at this time. Okay, let's go talk to him. It's not a phone call, but you go there in person. Vladimir suddenly said, pointing at Pitaka. I know there may be some conflicts between you and him, so it's better to talk to him in person. If he doesn't want to help us, you can do whatever you want. Okay, but you have to convince him to take action, because now we can only rely on him. The muscles on Pitaka's face twitched, but then he picked up his coat and walked out. Riding in a military vehicle, he soon arrived at the residence of Zhang Yi and others. When the janitor Irin came to report, Zhang Yi was sitting on the sofa drinking tea made by Zhou Qir. His current physical condition has long been restored to its best condition because he did not suffer any injuries in that battle and only needed to recover the lost abilities. This is not difficult. It is very strange to say that aliens do not seem to follow the law of energy conservation. Even after a big war, the energy erupted is comparable to nuclear weapons, but it can be recovered through normal diet. At most, the appetite is a little larger than that of ordinary people, but everyone knows that even drinking oil cannot make a person have that level of appetite. This is probably as much of a puzzle in this world as the constant speed of light. Bailey Chongqing came to report and told Zhang Yi the news of Pitaka's arrival. Zhang Yi's eyes became sharp when he heard the name. He put down the cup in his hand and asked slowly, "What is he here for?" Bailey Chongqing lowered his head and replied, "He said he wants to see you for something very important. Please be sure to meet him." Having said this, Bailey Chongqing also added, "I think his attitude is quite sincere, not as arrogant as before, and he can't hide the anxiety on his face." Zhang Yi lowered his eyes and thought for a while, then said, "It seems that I really came here to ask for something urgent. Guess, either Samalan City is about to be attacked, or their expedition team is in danger." A strange smile appeared on his lips. Let him help. He didn't go out to find out who Zhang Yi was. If you can't pick something up when you go out, it's considered lost. If you let him help, you have to be prepared for a lot of bloodletting. But we still had to listen to what exactly he was asking to help. Zhang Yi said, "Let him come in." Soon, Pitaka hurriedly came to Zhang Yi's house. As soon as he saw Zhang Yi, he didn't even have time to exchange polite greetings. He walked up to Zhang Yi and said very quickly, "Your Excellency, Chaos. We are in trouble and need your help." Before Zhang Yi opened his mouth, he told everything in one go. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows while listening. It seems that things are really urgent, otherwise there is nothing that can make a seasoned politician reveal his trump card as soon as he comes up. He was really anxious. However, this incident also made Zhang Yi a little unexpected. King Arthur solved Demon God C and killed Demon God. These two are the third and fourth ones among the 10 demon gods. Logically speaking, no matter how strong Demon God B is, he cannot be too far ahead of them. With the strength of your country of Fremons and the fact that you are fighting on the land, you have the right time, the right place, and the right people. I feel very surprised that I can't complete this mission, so why do I come here to seek our help? Zhang Yi expressed his doubts. In fact, after defeating the demon god Gui and the demon god, Zhang Yisin has become disenchanted with mechanical civilization. He felt that prehistoric mechanical civilization was actually just that. When mechanical life forms first appeared, people thought they were very difficult to deal with because they didn't understand them well. But even the high-ranking demon god was killed by him, so there is no need to say anything else. Pitaka said, "We think so too, but the reality is that the strength of demon god B exceeds our imagination. And beside him, there is a powerful demon god who is not registered." Pitaka was really crazy with anxiety. He actually came over, held Zhang Yi's hand with both hands, and said in a pleading tone, "Fremons and Huashu Kingdom have always been brotherly countries. You met before trouble. We sent people to support us as soon as possible. Now we are facing a huge crisis. Lord Chaos, you can't just sit back and watch." These words sounded sincere. If Zhang Yi hadn't seen Pitaka's face before, he might really be a little bit moved at this time. However, how could he believe the words of a seasoned politician? He took his hand out, thought for a while, and suddenly asked, "I remember that the Knights of the Round Table and the 8 tribes of Bard also completed their missions and came back. Have you gone to find them?" This sentence made Pitaka look a little embarrassed. "I have looked for them, but they are in very bad condition." Pitaka was obviously in a hurry at this time. Otherwise, according to his usual habits, he would not be able to reveal so much information when speaking. He was too anxious to ask Zhang Yi to take action, so he didn't speak clearly. Otherwise, as usual, every time he speaks a sentence, he usually pauses for a second or two and then slowly speaks the next sentence. Zhang Yi slowly raised the corners of his mouth. The Knights of the Round Table and the 8 tribes all rejected Fremon's request. Doesn't that mean that he is now Fremon's last hope? How to negotiate terms depends on his mood. Thinking of this, Zhang Yi suddenly looked up to the sky and sighed, then shook his head. That's such a pity. If they can also take action, can help send people there. But they can't go out to fight, so what can alone do? He spread his hands and said, "Is just an ordinary alien. He just finished a battle. He cannot be the opponent of Demon God B now." Pitaka's heart was already in his throat, and he gritted his teeth and said, "But with your ability, even if you are defeated by Demon God B, your ability is the best when it comes to saving people." That's right, currently in the world, the human realm is the most powerful space system expert. The movement speed is super fast, and the defense is super strong. Only if Zhang Yi takes action can he reach the battlefield as quickly as possible, or at least bring Morana and others back. Zhang Yi waved his hand. "I don't know yet about Demon God B's abilities. You have to understand that Demon God B's abilities are not invincible." Pitaka hurriedly said, "We also have a piece of information on Demon God B, which we can give to you." Zhang Yi shook his head again. "What's the use of that? An enemy that even Morana, the most powerful in your pantheon, is helpless." He pointed to his nose. "Look, at this level, it's better not to go over and cause trouble. Maybe when you ask later, 'Hey, she won?'" White smoke was almost coming out of Pitaka's anxious head at this time. This possibility is not impossible, but it is very slim. After all, he knew that Absolute Zero was already Morana's most powerful ability. She did not hesitate to take action and fired her ultimate move, but she did not kill Demon God B, nor did she even cause much damage to him. Instead, she took the blow herself and vomited blood. As for the other people in the Pantheon, they also had to face a strange and large mechanical life form that was actually close to a high-level demon god. The battle was even more difficult. If this situation continues, it's a question of whether Morana can survive, let alone win. In desperation, Pitaka actually knelt down in front of Zhang Yi with his plop. "Lord Chaos, please take action. Otherwise, Fremons will suffer losses, which will not be a good thing for Huashu country. The 10 demon gods are just the tip of the iceberg of the strength of mechanical civilization. For example, Fremons has organized troops from various countries to carry them in front of them. But if our front line collapses, the nearby Huashu kingdom will also be affected. As long as you are willing to take action, you can ask for whatever you want. Those who can satisfy you will definitely be satisfied. Pitaka is worthy of being a man of great things. He is capable of bending and stretching. The attitude towards Zhang Yi and the others was very harsh before, but now they kneel down when asked. It's a pity that Zhang Yi doesn't accept this trick and kowtows without losing anything. But the last sentence really made him feel a little moved. Just ask for it. What you said is like taking advantage of the situation. But it is obviously a very dangerous task. When Pitaka heard Zhang Yifeng's waist was loose, he immediately kneeled in front of him. His posture was low enough. But Zhang Yi didn't feel proud. Instead, he became more vigilant about this person. People who are cruel to themselves will only be more cruel to others. Yes, we know you deserve it. Without the Pantheon, Fremons has become a second-rate force in the world, and their good fortune is coming to an end. Zhang Yi let out a long sigh. Given the many years of friendship between our two countries, I can consider this matter. Don't think about it. If you have any requests, just ask. Zhang Yi frowned. Well, first of all, give me the information about Demon God B, the picture before the communication was disconnected. Then, he glanced at Pitaka. I want to know, what happened to the people you sent there? The 3 giants of the temple. What are their respective abilities? The more detailed the better. Only in this way can I cooperate with them when we arrive on the battlefield. You should understand that intelligence is crucial at this time. Pitaka's face was a little distorted. Of course he knows, and he also knows that once he tells Zhang Yi about the abilities of Morana and others, Zhang Yi will take the initiative if one day he fights with them. This is a confidential secret. Zhang Yi saw Bodaka hesitating and spoke, but with a faint smile on his lips. It doesn't matter. He is the one who is anxious now. Pitaka looked at Zhang Yi longingly, with a tangled look on his face. He wanted Zhang Yi to take pity on them and not make such a request. But the half-smiling expression on Zhang Yi's face was obviously telling him that you love to talk. Pitaka had no choice but to hand over all the confidential information to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi clicked on Morana's information, and when he saw her abilities, he couldn't help but take a deep breath. Compared with others, Fatty Su looks like a toy. Wide area freezing ability, powerful single-target attack, especially Absolute Zero, which is a perverted skill that is almost like stopping time. If he suddenly met this woman, Zhang Yi would think about how to fight her for a moment. Because after his body was frozen, even entering another dimension became a luxury that was so far away. Chaos Pavilion, I have given you what you want. Let's go quickly. Pitaka broke Zhang Yi's thoughts. Zhang Yi said calmly, first of all, we must be anxious. Demon God B's strength exceeds our expectations. We must be prepared for such a rescue operation. Otherwise, we may not be able to rescue people when the time comes, but we will end up setting ourselves up. Got in. MY brothers have settled the scores. We still have to negotiate the terms that should be negotiated. Zhang Yi slowly stretched out a finger. Let me take action, no matter what the result is. 10 large equivalent death of love. What this means is that as long as Zhang Yi goes to the battlefield, these 10 deaths of love must be handed over to him. The death of love, the most powerful weapon in the world. Its birth can be called a miracle because currently no intergenerational weapons have been found between it and gunpowder weapons. It seemed to appear in the world suddenly. At the time of its invention, it was several generations ahead of the weapons in the world at that time. Its principle is not complicated. Anyone who has taken a physics class has heard of the theory of relativity and nuclear fusion, but its specific manufacturing involves extremely complicated technology. Even Liu Karen couldn't make it out of his imagination without having come into contact with it. The power of the entire Huashu kingdom currently controls more than a few death gods of love, and the number distributed to various regions is even more limited. Due to some special reasons, Zhang Yi did not ask Zhu for control of Death of Love. And right now, the most valuable thing that Zhang Yi can think of in Fremons is this. Zhang Yi asked for 10 of these strategic weapons, but Pitaka was stunned for a moment before nodding in agreement. This is just Zhang Yi's starting price. If we take action in this battle, we will win in the end. 90% of the resources belong to us, especially the demon god core. It must belong to us. This is the highlight. At present, other alien teams do not seem to have thoroughly studied the energy core of the demon god, so they know that it is actually the purest source of God. Probably Fremons and other countries only think that it is a special kind of supercomputer or energy hub. Pitaka gritted his teeth, his face twisting and twisting due to tangles.
Can you win?
He completely knows what the current situation is on the battlefield, and it is difficult for them to judge after receiving the signal. But judging from Mirana's ability and strength, she would die so easily. With Zhang Yi's team, it is impossible to win.
But...
Okay, I promise you. Pitaka did not consider other possibilities. His brain is already in an overloaded state at this time, and the critical situation is like a software that takes up an extremely large amount of memory, preventing the host from running normally. The green hills are left, but I'm afraid there will be no firewood. If the 3 giants of the Pantheon die in battle, there will be nothing left. Zhang Yi was very satisfied with Pitaka's performance at this time, and it felt really good to take advantage of the opportunity to rip him off. Chaos Pavilion, if you need manpower, I can ask the gods to send 2 more strangers to help. Pitaka offered to send someone to help, and they must be Epsilon-level experts. Zhang Yi smiled secretly. After all, it was better to trust himself and send a few people to both help and supervise. Zhang Yi waved his hand towards him if necessary. You can go back first. I will set off after a little preparation. Pitaka wanted to say something, but seeing Zhang Yi's expression already a little impatient, he could only walk out the door and said, "Please hurry up." Zhang Yi ignored him. If he is not fully prepared, he will never take action easily. As soon as Pitaka left, Zhang Yi called Yang Xinxin. "Xinxin, are you okay?" Yang Xinxin's cold and gentle voice came. "Well, brother, it's over." Yang Xinxin came out of the shadow space. She looked no different from before. But Zhang Yi knew that she had just absorbed a sacrificial spirit, which came from demon god Ding. Yang Xinxin is a genius. She is interested in improving abilities because, in her opinion, truly outstanding people use their brains rather than rely on brute force. But even so, she still reached the level of Delta Peak in boredom. The process of absorbing the spirit of the ritual took her only about half of the time. Now, she has opened up the limitations of life levels and has become an Epsilon-level alien. However, as a rules-based ability user, it is difficult to make an effective judgment on her abilities. Probably only by personally verifying it on the battlefield can we judge how powerful her abilities are. Zhang Yi said, "The people from Fremons came just now." He told Yang Xinxin what happened, and then showed Yang Xinxin all the information that Pitaka gave him. "Help me analyze it. How should we act? Of course, if the risk is really high, we can go there and go through a cutscene and come back. But I have to collect the 10 Death of Love in advance." Zhang Yi showed a dispensable attitude. Yang Xinxin just sorted out what happened and smiled calmly. "Go, why go? This matter won't do any harm to us." She pointed at Demon God B. Platos on the screen and said, "Now, the information we have obtained clearly shows that Demon God B is very powerful. Similar to Demon God D, he also has mechanical intelligence. It has powerful technological power and extremely powerful abilities, and he is accompanied by a very powerful demon god. But brother, with your current strength, unless your superpower index exceeds 10,000 points, or you have a special ability that can break through the door of your world, it will be difficult for anyone to pose a life threat to you. This is only if you are willing to escape and fight to the death. So in fact, there will be no risk if we go there." Zhang Yi nodded approvingly. "That's what I think. Otherwise, how could I possibly agree to Pitaka's conditions?" But he spread his hands. "Is it possible that we can defeat him?" Zhang Yi is not sure about this. As the scene unfolded, Demon God B only took one shot and directly injured Morana. The ability to read is a relatively common supernatural ability. Zhang Yi knows some people with such abilities, such as Xidagarba Shangdao. But it is obvious that Demon God B is much more powerful than Xidagarba. Just one move to compress the air with your mind and form an air wave can injure Morana. This is still the condition of being trapped in absolute zero. Calculating it this way, Demon God B's strength, judged according to alien standards, is at least 35,000 points. Of course, the ability index cannot absolutely represent combat ability. Demon God B is also blessed with Super Era technology, which is far more advanced than Zhang Yi's technology and hard work. His divine refining is now close to the black tank level. Many technologies obtained from mechanical inventions were applied to him. Yang Xinxin looked at the quiet scene. In the picture, Morana blocked a huge space. In that space, even the flying snowflakes were suspended in the air. She suddenly smiled. If this woman named Morana is not dead yet, brother, we do have a chance of winning. Zhang Yi looked at Yang Xinxin and immediately understood what she meant.